insanity this week. I'm hoping that the Seattle thing gets shut down this week and it's done. I don't care by what means. It's bullshit. I would say fair warning, because tactics will always change. And that's what you got to really be aware of. You got to tell yourself, hey, look, are the people that I elected doing the job that they were put in there to do? And if not, then you need to have them removed and replaced with somebody that will. It's no different than having a job and your boss says, hey, I'm paying you this amount of money to go do this. I expect you to do this. I'm not asking you to freelance. I want you to go do this. Well, right now we have a lot of freelancing going on. Nobody's being held accountable for those jobs. And nobody's being held accountable for the safety of people. I mean, these punks have beat up old people. I mean, we've seen video after video of unarmed men in their 50s beat up, killed. They beat up a woman. They beat up a woman and her husband trying to defend her.
Really?
And I mean, there's videos of it all over. And nobody's... what you don't hear is they are arresting people. They're arresting a lot of people for firebombing police cars, city property. They are arresting people, but when they're brought in, they're bailed out or they're no billed by the DA.
Yeah, I have read
and
stuff like that.
That shit that's where you should be upset, because I mean that's what the legal system's for, and they're circumventing that too.
So the whole thing of we're not going to prosecute because right now people's feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
So we're just going to let you go. Which, I mean, that's kind of an oversimplification of it, but
not really.
To keep the story short, that kind of that's kind of sort of the way it looks. Is because feelings, we're not going to do our job.
Right.
So,
well, like I said, you can keep going to the beach, you can keep going to the lake, you can keep hiding from it, but eventually it's going to be in your face. And if it takes losing the ability to do that, then I guess that's what it's going to have to take for people to make change, because this has got to stop before it gets out of control. To me, it's way out of control now, but it's being supported by people that are politicians and activists. You got to stop them, because they're damaging sovereignty and safety of citizens of this country.
So I'm gonna ask a kind of a difficult question based on what you just said there. So if you're Joe Citizen and you're watching this, basically fucking chaos happen, what's your role in making it become a society that's now operating back under the laws that it's supposed to be?
Are you looking for an answer?
Yeah.
From me?
Well, I'm only asking because of how you phrased that.
Okay. Well, honestly, I mean, let's pick on Minneapolis for a little bit. You have a mayor that clearly is not capable of handling that job. We saw a video of him trying to pander.
Yeah, freaking
trying to appease.
It blew up in his face.
All blew up in his face. So he's basically ineffective.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, he will be in the future now.
He's ineffective now. He's ineffective because businesses have burned, people have died.
Yeah,
under his watch.
He has lost all credibility.
All credibility.
With the populace that probably put him in office.
So when he's incapable, the next person in charge should be stepping up. He should be removed from office. The next person in line, according to their charter or law, should be in charge taking care of this. If that person's incompetent, you go down to the next one, and you keep going down until you find somebody to do the job.
So the thing that kind of occurs to me is, based on this sort of the lawlessness, I'm actually kind of surprised that, and I don't know this because, again, I don't really follow it that closely, but when you have somebody within this protest organization who hears something from city government, the city leader, that says he doesn't endorse this thing that they want to do.
Right.
And suddenly they
turn on
him and or call for him to basically step down from his position. Because that's actually what I'm waiting. What I kind of imagine something happening is, hey, you know what, Mayor, you need to basically resign and let somebody from our group become the mayor.
Right.
Because
well, that's what she said. She said she's going to run against him.
Okay, so she's operating within the construct that's
the
already
BLM
in place.
person said that I'll just run against you and take your job.
But how I look at it is everything's all lawlessness and destroying shit.
Right.
But the one thing that you're not going to go against is the mechanism that's in place of going through an election. Well, wait a minute. What? How I look at it is you're okay with burning buildings down that don't even fucking belong to you.
Right.
But you'll wait around for the voting cycle to come around and run the way you're supposed to run, the way that you normally run an election. I was like,
right.
Well, it sounds to me like you're not conflicted in areas that you should be conflicted in. And the other way is like, hey, this long established way of getting into office is going through the process of many months of petitioning and trying to get people on your side so they cast a vote. That's the whole irony in this thing for me is there's shit that you'll do that without question that would normally get somebody thrown in jail, but this other thing that you come across as being an anarchist, but basically trying to boot somebody out of office and basically take over the kingdom is a bridge too far.
Right. And and it's sad because these things have all started in the name of criminals that were killed while resisting arrest. Okay. Just like this Rashad guy in Atlanta. I mean, he was sentenced to 7 years for beating his kid, but he was out on parole due to COVID-19.
Right.
Okay. He was drunk, asleep in a car at a parking lot in a Wendy's restaurant. Mm-hmm. There's body camera video all over the place right now.
Okay.
They were trying to arrest him for a second DUI. Got in a fight over the taser. Now, I will tell you, I wouldn't have shot him. And I'm not saying, because I think a lot of cops go to guns just a little bit too fast. If you have one guy that's incapacitated to the ability that he falls asleep in a car, you should be able to tackle him with 5 dudes and subdue him.
Okay, so I agree. The de-escalation process is definitely something that needs to be fucking addressed.
It does. I mean, now
and that's in training.
So here's the problem, though. So the one-on-one between them and the perpetrators is an issue in itself. But when the crowd starts to gather, when you start getting a crowd gathering, yelling at you as an officer, that's where that changes the entire arrest dynamic. Okay, so if you got a guy that's now worried about what's going to happen if I do use deadly force. To me, the only time you should be able to use deadly force is when your life is in imminent danger, not because somebody is running. Okay?
Fucking running away should
not.
Pulling a firearm should never even be fucking considered.
Not at that point. And like I said, so and Hodge Brothers put out an excellent podcast video this last week on how the Black Lives Matter is lying to people about these things. There was a guy in Kansas City that called 911 on his own behalf. He was having a paranoid schizophrenic episode after taking cocaine. He didn't take his medication. He's a big white guy.
I'm not going to take my medication, but I will do some cocaine.
Do some coke. So what ended up happening, he started having an episode, and he was arrested he wasn't arrested. He was handcuffed by a security guard at the store he was at, and he was just waiting for the cops to show up. Okay, when the police showed up, he was already handcuffed. The cops rolled him over on his face, and the guy started to have an episode, and they were making fun of him. They were laughing. They were sitting there laughing at this. Oh, I guess he's asleep. I mean, the video is hard to watch.
Oh, shit.
Okay? Black cop, white cops, all of them were all there. To me, you got to leave color out of this because it's just about human beings doing stupid shit. Mm-hmm. So they were laughing at this guy, and he said, oh, I guess he fell asleep. So the paramedics get there, and he's on the gurney, and the guy goes, this dude's dead. And the cop goes, wait, what? He's what? He's dead. I mean,
so you have
that.
So was it because of the cocaine?
Well, so when you are that's so you know how dangerous hog tying is. They quit hog tying years ago.
Wait a minute. Oh, he was.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't hog tied. But you remember when they quit hog tying people? There's a reason. So when you have your hands behind your back,
I never even looked
and your face down on the ground, it puts a lot of a lot of pressure on your pulmonary system, and it
particularly if you're laying on your belly.
Especially if you've got a big belly like this guy had. And so what ended up happening is that with the anxiety, the drugs, the episode he was having with the seizures, it exacerbated all these health issues. And this guy literally was gurgling. They thought he was snoring. They were making fun of him snoring.
So it was like death rattles.
Yeah, death rattles. This is where the training becomes an issue. Because for me, I guess it's easy to stand here and criticize officers, but I personally wouldn't have sat there. I would have been suspect of his well-being right away. If you called me up and said, hey, look, you're responding, he's got handcuffs on, but he's having seizures, and he's got cocaine in his system, I'm going to naturally get there, hopefully with an EMT right away. And I'm going to get him in a gurney and have him secured to the gurney. I'm not going to sit there and make fun of him for 20 minutes. I think it was 14 minutes they had him on the ground. Okay? So look at Floyd. Floyd was on the ground for 14 minutes too. Okay? There's got to be some kind of correlation of being handcuffed with your hands behind your back.
Body position.
All that stuff like that. So that's kind of, I mean, there was a white guy, I forget where he was at. He had an autistic child in the front seat of his car, and the police were chasing him for 2 miles because he wouldn't stop. He was drunk, but he was trying to get his kid somewhere safe because he knew if he got arrested, he wanted to make sure his kid was safe. They get him pulled over, and the guy clearly in the video has his hands out the window, and they open fire, and they kill the kid. They didn't know the kid was in the car.
Why did they open fire?
Exactly. His hands were out the window. And they're saying, well, he tried to back the car up to run us over. Dude, you were in your car. I watched the video. So that cop got it. Then there was another video. Remember that guy in the hotel?
Where are you seeing all these fucking stories at?
Well, it's the news, dude. You just self-admitted that you don't watch the news. Okay? These are all over the place.
No. I look at news. I just think,
the Hodge brothers had it out.
I like the Hodge brothers.
They put a fantastic video out on it.
I don't follow them like religiously.
I look at them every day. They come out with a new video. I get a notification. I watch them. So I'll tell you why I like them. And I like people that put out stories like they do. They're going to give you both sides. You can say, hey, look, these cops definitely are out of control and they've murdered people, okay? Because they don't know how to handle situations. But it's not just a black guy that gets killed. It's not just a white guy that got killed. It's a Hispanic guy that got killed. There's an Asian guy that got killed. The fact that anybody dies at the hands of a police officer is a big issue. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to most of these cases, it's because somebody was not complying with a lawful order. Okay? If you get pulled over and you're suspected of drunk driving, you're probably drunk driving.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, if you're a repeat offender, there's a lot on the line for you.
Yeah, because my deal about when you're getting, so if you're getting pulled over because, like you just said, drunk driving, is they're not going by what your definition of what a lawful order is. Mm-hmm. They're basing it off. There's metrics that I
can't go back to jail.
You had to fucking satisfy in order for me to even pull you over.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like they hunt them down. Like LeBron James would have you believe that all these cops do is ride around. There's a black guy. Let's go kill him. That is so wrong. Okay, so like this guy here, they burned the Wendy's to the fucking ground. Mm-hmm. Okay. And this guy was released because of COVID-19. So he normally would not have been on the streets.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they took a situation
and they
somehow or another
exploited it.
Twisted it and made it, yes. Okay.
So they've created a situation. That was going back to my statement about political people in office making very bad decisions based on ideology and not facts that lead up to events like this. That's why I'm saying they're more responsible than anybody. Mm-hmm. Now, the cop, I mean, I have lots of friends that are cops, and they'll tell you real quick, if they're out there by themselves and they feel they're outnumbered or possibly outgunned, they get away from the situation, and then they just call backup. Mm-hmm. I had a friend that stopped a car full of 4 guys in the car, 2 a.m, out in the middle of nowhere, walked up to the car. When he ran the plates, he knew that there was a potential felon that was armed and dangerous in that car. Mm-hmm. And he just walked up and said, hey, I just want to let you know y'all speeding through here. Can y'all just slow it down? Okay. He gets back in his car and those guys leave. Okay. 3 hours later, him and 12 other guys show up at that guy's house where the car is, and they arrest him. And guess what? 3 of the 4 were armed, and 3 of the 4 were felons.
So
now,
was that a move on this guy's part, is to try to, I guess, disarm him in a way?
you don't get into a gunfight where you're going to potentially kill somebody or get killed.
Right.
He used his head. He goes, you know what? This isn't the time to have the fight.
That's the part I was looking for.
This isn't the time to have the fight. But I'm going to go where I can control the situation. I know they're getting high or drunk, so I'm just going to go whenever they're sleeping and wake them up. And that's what they did. Nobody got shot. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah, because the like with my family members that are currently in law enforcement, or just first responders, and then I had family that were retired from law enforcement, and the one thing I do know, because I remember the stories, were people that were in law enforcement, particularly law enforcement, is there's a generational difference that you hear when you hear somebody who's, let's just say they retired 20, 30 years ago, them telling telling a story about an altercation and how they handled it is much different than me hearing a story today.
Right.
Because there was one family member I remember listening to this story, but the thing is it's kind of like, this is where you get into the part where you went to school or you went through the academy and you learned you learned everything that was required to be a law enforcement officer, but the one thing that the police academy or any kind of law enforcement academy is not going to get rid of is if you have fucking certain biases.
Right.
Now you're just you're somebody who's got a bias, and now you got a badge. And that's the issue that I had with not an issue, it's just an observation that I noticed, and I'm like, fuck, man, that's depending on who you are, I'd hate to get fucking pulled over by this person.
Oh, exactly. No, I have the same feeling. I mean, we always used to joke that the kid that was the equipment manager for the football and baseball teams end up being a cop.
I remember you telling the story.
And so that's kind of it's unfortunate. It's a tough one, but it doesn't justify rioting and destroying and murdering other people in that name.
No.
And so when people finally realize that, maybe they'll do something about it. But I don't know. I'm kind of out of gas on that one. I don't, I can really give a shit. I'm tired of how people try to explain this away. What they're doing is wrong. They're harming a lot of innocent people for their cause. If they want to go after somebody, go after the politician.
Mm-hmm.
Quit going after individual citizens. If you really want to be effective, go after those guys, because they're the ones letting you down. They're the ones that have put you in some sort of slavery.
Don't go after the business that you buy your fucking milk at.
Yeah,
okay? That's
stupid.
The part
These people are morons.
Well, I think we've beat this one up.
Yeah, I can't even gracefully end this one. I'm fucking tired of this shit.
No, we're out. Later.